y'all, welcome back to Courtney's Story. And I'm so excited to do this video because it's been a minute, and if you follow me on Instagram, I have been adjusting to living in Barbados. I've been out everywhere. I've been hanging with the friends that I made before I came here, and I can honestly say this is an unforgettable experience. But today, in this video, I'm going to outline 7 steps on how you can start your plan to move abroad, or whether you don't want to move abroad totally, you can start your plan to live in another country, long term, short term, whatever you want to do. I'm going to outline 7 ways to get started, and consider this your starter pack. Consider this your confirmation on making that decision and actually taking action on living out something that I know you might dream of doing. If I did this in less than 6 months, I know you can do it too. So put in your AirPods, grab a glass of whatever, wine, tea, coffee, and take some notes, because I really want y'all to get this information to, immerse yourself in a new experience. And let's get started. Okay, so let's just get right into it. The first thing is figure out a timeline for you, and just figure out, do I want to do this in 6 months? Do I want to do this in 12 months? Do I want to wait until the lease on my apartment expires? But so with this being number 1, there are a lot of sub numbers. So when you figure out a timeline, obviously you've already made the decision. So I guess 1A would be make the decision that you are going to do it, and you have to cut off everything else. Your mind is going to talk you out of it every single day after you make the decision. And once you start to, let's say, choose a country, or you figure out how to move to that country, how to do all those things, which I'm going to talk about. Once you start to do that, that's when you'll get more confident in the decision that you made. So the first thing is to figure out a timeline. Obviously, you may have already, decided that this is what I'm going to do. You need to decide. That's the first thing also, because this is not for the faint of heart. Like moving out of the country and immersing yourself in a different culture, being 2,000, 3,000, wherever you're going to move, miles from home, this is not easy. It was not easy at all. You will be emotionally taxed. You will be stressed. It's not like a magical experience, but it is all worth it, I swear. So the first thing you need to do is to figure out your timeline, and don't put it off. Honestly, that's really what that's the main point I want you to get out of this video, is to be inspired and be informed enough to take some information away that applies to you, make the decision, and go for it. You can't be so well researched to where you're gonna feel confident. As you do your research, you're gonna get more confident. So figure out your timeline. My timeline worked because August, I realized that I got accepted to the remote work visa program here in Barbados. And my lease in my apartment in Atlanta was up in October anyway. So in my head, I'm thinking, Courtney, okay, you have August, September, October, November to do everything you need to do, to plan, to move, to prepare, and you are out of here November 30th, December 1st. You have to be out of here, because I did not want to sign another 12-month, 14-month, or whatever lease in Atlanta, and that would have just threw a wrench in my plan, because I'm not paying rent in 2 places. That's the whole point, is to just move and not have that obligation in your home country. So figure out a timeline that works best for you. Please do not overthink the timeline. You have already made the decision to do it, and as you get more research under your belt and more information, your confidence will start to, you'll boost yourself up and be like, I can do this, I can do this. So just please don't overthink it, do it. And if you want to do 12 months, I don't suggest you wait that long, honestly. I prepared for this move in 4 months. So I just want you to figure out a timeline that works for you and stick to it. Okay, 6 months, I feel 6 to 8 months is an optimal time. But honestly, y'all, I really want you to just jump out there. If I could be totally honest, if you feel like you are confident enough in your finances and your home situation, and I'm going to talk about all those things, but please do not overthink the timeline and say, okay, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. Like, just don't lose sight of your goals. That's the first thing, is to figure out your timeline. Number two, what are you gonna do for work? So, of course, 2020 and COVID has showed us that a large number of jobs can be done remotely. So this has caused a boom in the remote working industry, because there are companies that have been fully remote, like basically allowing their employees to work from anywhere in the world or anywhere in the United States or wherever, because that's how they built their company structure. And if you have not worked for a fully remote company, you probably are still working from home with no end in sight. And or maybe your company has just told you that, okay, we're gonna go remote. So figure out what you're going to do for work, because I'm about 90% sure that you will not be able to go to another country and like make money in that country, like find a job in that country is what I'm trying to say. Well, okay, so let me start by saying you have three options. One, you can ask your current job to allow you to work remotely. You can do some research, you can build a case, and you can formally ask them to work from another country. And this will be particularly helpful if your company already is like a large global corporation. They probably are used to people working remotely and working from different time zones, from different countries and things like that. Or if you work for like a startup or smaller business that's a little more progressive. So your first option is to ask your current job to let you work remotely. And the way to do that is to build a case, like as far as like a very simple case, like here are some statistics on working remotely. Here's why my productivity will stay the same or increase. Here is why, you should let me do it, because we're already working remotely. Like, I think that based on the nature of your job, you can present a case and allow them to let you work officially from another country. I do not recommend just moving without telling your job. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is to find a fully remote job. I will leave some links to some fully remote job boards that I use and that other people have used, and they have gotten jobs off that board. So basically, there are companies, like I said before, that have always been fully remote. They allow their employees to work from wherever in the world, as long as they can, work remotely and communicate and get the work done and work on whichever time zone that they want them to work on. So that's your second option. The third thing you can do is start a business. And I don't say that in like a long drawn out way. What you can simply do is to figure out your skill sets. Like if you're good at writing, like how I started in content writing, if you have experience in marketing, if you have, I don't know, if you're an accountant, if you can help people prepare their business or personal taxes, if you can advise people on legal advice, you can monetize your skill set or your knowledge and experience and simply market yourself online in order to start a business, or like just have that as an extra source of income, an additional source of income. So I will leave some fully remote job boards in the description below for you to go through and align with what you want to do, because it may be time for a new career anyway. Like it may be time for a career switch up. You want to do something else. You know, COVID has proved that you can really do your job from anywhere. It may be time for you to do something different. So the way I did it is, the first thing I did do was ask my corporate job if I could come and, if I could work from another country. And they said no. So I quit. That's also another part of my whole story, is like I had been working at my job for some years, and the work was cool. I was doing creative work. However, it's just being in corporate, like it's just that whole game. Like there were things that were happening that, I felt like were holding me back in my career. And I was like, okay, I have this business that I love, and I could just put energy and focus and time and money there and grow that while being a freelancer, or I can stay at this job who just told me no, and I would have to pass up on the opportunity of a lifetime to live in another country. So for me, the decision was clear. I asked my job, they told me no, I quit. And I basically am a full-time independent contractor, or whatever you want to call it, a freelancer in my own business. And what I do is I do marketing online for businesses, I do content writing for businesses, and I basically pick up freelance gigs where people need any sort of like online content marketing work, content writing. That's how I make money now that I live in Barbados, because my job told me no. So another thing to note is you will not be able to work in the country that you choose. Like, you can't just go to Mexico and become a waiter. You can't just, move to Barbados and become like a school teacher, because that takes some extra paperwork as far as visas and, getting the approval to live and work in another country. That's just a different part of like the process. So to make this as streamlined as possible and as easy as possible, just keep your current job, ask them, find a fully remote job, meaning like you have to not go into an office ever. You can be location independent, meaning that you can live anywhere in the States or around the globe and you can still do your job. You can market your skill set online and become a freelancer and, start your own business and get clients and make money that way. And you can just have different sources of income that are remote and not dependent on a location and that are like basically digital. That's the number one way that you're gonna be able to move out of the country or live, from place to place, long term, whatever you wanna do. So the number one person that inspired me to do this, her name is Rashida. She has like a brand called Sheeta on the Loose. I will link her below. She was phenomenal. She hosted like a summit earlier this year, and that also solidified my decision to do this. People are doing this, y'all. People are doing it by themselves. They're doing it with their spouses. They're moving their whole family. So this is a whole movement of people living in a country other than where they were born and where they grew up. So please do not lose the faith. Like, it's not an easy journey, like I said before, but as you start to consume content of people who have done this before, and including me, like, I've never even lived out of the country. I would hope that that would inspire y'all to just keep going regardless. So number two is just figure out a way online and remote how you will create a consistent income. Okay, so number three is probably the most important that you want to hear about, and that is, how much should I save? What should I do with my assets, like my car, my apartment? Let's just break it down. And let me start with, I did not like move here with thousands and thousands of dollars. Like how I just said, I made this decision and moved and prepared and stuck to my plan in 4 months. I did it in less than 6 months. So, I mean, I was saving money and I was just accumulating money because, COVID, I didn't do any traveling this year. There were, my expenses were significantly less. So I basically just used all the cash I had and moved here. Honestly, that's simply what I did, because the first thing is I justified the move to a move anyway. Like, let's say I wanted to move in Atlanta, I would have still needed to pay a deposit, rent for the first month, last month, whatever those requirements are, movers, I still would have needed to use that money to pay for that. Let's say I wanted to move out of Atlanta and move to Houston or LA, I still would have needed to pay for my things to be moved to another state and, travel to that state and start living there. So this is important because you can shift your mindset around. You can start to view the move as, I need to move anyway. This money, I would be using it anyway. So don't scare yourself, and don't scare yourself based on the saving that you think you may need to do, or the dollar amount you may think you need to have saved. So I'm trying to make this as relatable as possible, but whatever you decide to do as far as like your job situation, that's gonna depend on your saving situation or what you already have saved. So I think the number one thing I really want you to take away from this is to not overthink anything. Like, you're going to feel stressed and unprepared regardless. So I think you should just go through with it. Like, I'm not trying to encourage you to be irresponsible, but what I'm trying to say is, even if you have $20,000, $30,000, and you've never lived out of the country, you're still gonna feel unprepared and scared. So as long as you follow your own plan and stick to it, be diligent, leave room for errors, leave room for surprises and mistakes, it's going to work. So the first thing you should do is, if you already have a country in mind, look up the cost of living in that country. Look up, like, there's a website that I will also link below as far as like comparing the cost of living to like where you may live now or what country you want to move to and stay there for a while or move long term. So look up the cost of living in that country as far as groceries, rent, electricity, like water, like things like that, and basically start to put money away like normal, as if you were moving around Atlanta or moving around Florida. Start to put money away that will equal like the rent cost. Like, so if you know the rent in Mexico is $600 a month, then you may want to have $600 times 3 to 6 months of that saved up before your move. Whatever is going to make you feel confident financially, do that. I did not overly plan. I have and had money saved that, you know, that I knew would float me for months. So that's simply what I did. And as I was getting my income still from my main job, I was just using that to pay for everything here. And that's another thing. When you start to move and you start to reach out to people to find places, you may be able to prepay your rent or prepay whatever you may need to do. So what I did was I made the decision to move. I reached out to people that, you know, were realtors and that were able to help me look at places virtually. And when it was time to find a place, it was all paid for when I got here. So that really helped, because when I got here, my first apartment was already paid for, and it was time for me to pay for my second apartment when I got here. So I wasn't paying like all this money at one time. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the sun is set, so excuse the tone of the video now as far as how it looks. But I did not overly plan. So what I did was I basically used a portion of my savings and combined that with the money that was just, you know, I was still receiving and was sitting in my bank account, because COVID was happening. When I made this decision, it was slam in the middle of COVID. I hadn't traveled. I hadn't really spent any large amounts of money. So I used all of that money to move here. And I think that, once again, you should do what is important and financially, you know, within your financial plan for you to do, is what I'm trying to say. So the bottom line of what to save is just start out with combining maybe your current savings with a little more cushion of 3 to 6 months of rent and living expenses in your new country. There's so many expenses related to moving out of the country. A couple of them are, if you're going to have things shipped to the country, you have to find a logistics company. And this is very easy to do. Find a company that is going to allow you to pack your items, like your household items, clothes, whatever you want to do, and ship it to another country. So the main things I will be saving for are living expenses, or if you feel like you already have a savings account that is healthy enough for living expenses, just start to use a portion of that. So the main thing I would save for outside of living expenses is just shipping things there, your airline tickets, of course, like maybe any extra deposits on any apartments that you will rent in your new country, baggage fees. If you watched my video before, you saw that I did have to pay baggage fees for my overweight bag. Just start to save for miscellaneous things. You can never oversave, because you will absolutely be caught up with an expense that you did not expect. That's happened to me already at least 10 times. Like, not even being dramatic. It's already happened. But when it happens, either you have the cash for it, or you charge it on a credit card and go about your day. Now, once again, I'm not advising anyone to be irresponsible, but I am advising you to not let the magnitude of moving out of the country overwhelm you, because it is definitely overwhelming. Just push through it, do what you can do, and stick to your plan. Now, another thing I want to talk about as far as finances / assets go, your car. What are you going to do with your car? Obviously, you could ship it on a boat. I guess it gets here by boat or plane, and bring it to another country. But that is insanely expensive, and I just don't think you should do that. Or you could sell it. Personally, I did not sell my car, but you can sell it. If you pay a monthly car note, you can sell it, use that money to pay off the loan, or just use that money as cash, depending on how much you owe, whatever. You won't have a car. That's if you actually are planning on not coming back, honestly. So I'm going back to the States at some point. So I did not sell my car. I still do have the financial obligation of my car note monthly. I did leave my car with a friend who drives it around from time to time. So you have options. You can sell your car, which I don't recommend you doing unless you absolutely know you are not coming back. You can leave your car at home with a family member or friend and have them drive it around and perform maintenance on it. You can store your car in a storage facility. There are storage facilities that specifically take care of your car as far as where it's stored, it's climate controlled, and then, you know, I guess they might actually, you might leave them the key and they drive it around, but I didn't do that. So my car is just in Atlanta with my friend. I'm still paying the car note on it, and because I want to have it when I go back. So as far as a car goes, you have many options, and that option would once again depend on your financial situation, your situation on if you ever plan to go back, and just many other things. Also, your apartment. The best thing you should do is you should wait until your lease expires. And whenever that is, that might give you a little more time to, you know, flesh out your plans, save more money, like actually get into your mind that I'm moving out of the country. So if you also don't have a lease, maybe you have a roommate, or I don't know, you live with your parents, or if it's you and your significant other, like this can go so many ways, because I realize that, you know, people live so many different types of lifestyles. So whatever your living situation is, whenever you get to the point of where you will no longer be financing that living situation, to me, I think it's the best time to make the leap. And if you don't have to pay for rent, you are super blessed. Or if you live for free, I don't know, maybe you have more freedom to make that jump at a sooner time. So like I said, it was so easy for me to make this decision because my lease was expiring anyway, and I needed to move anyway. And if you want to move with your family, of course, that's gonna take a lot more planning. So I honestly can't speak on, like, you know, moving with children and pets, because I also did leave my dog, my car in Atlanta with my friend. So there are ways that you can do this. So there are people who moved here with their whole families. Literally, my neighbors downstairs, her family moved here. Like, it was her husband, and her 3 kids. And of course, at first, her 3 kids were in virtual school, but she pulled them out of virtual school, and she's their teacher now. So, and you know, I realized that comes with a lot of different financial obligations as well. So I can speak for me. As a single woman, I had a lot of things to take care of, as far as my apartment, my car, my documents, like my dog. So I had a pretty long list of things to take care of before I moved here too. And everybody's situation is unique. But once again, I'm gonna say, do not overthink this, y'all. Please don't. Please don't. So, your finances. Find a job that you are going to be able to do from any country remotely, whether it's with a large corporation or organization, or whether it's through your own business or as an independent freelancer. And then once you have made the decision, just start saving like you would normally. start saving for rent, electricity, moving, shipping costs. Start saving for your airline tickets or paying for extra bags at the airport. Start saving for the groceries that you're gonna need to buy, probably like when you first get to your country and you may not know where to shop at yet. You just might do a big grocery shopping run. Start saving for the most random things you can think of, and then based on the cost of living in the country you want to move to, start saving based on that times whatever. And then, so what you should also do as far as assets go is, if you're going to leave your car, leave it with somebody that you trust. Of course, do the maintenance, drive it. You can find a storage center where they will store your car safely in a climate controlled environment, and that's where it'll be. And of course, you'll have to pay for that. That's also an extra expense. So as far as finances go, there's so many things that just may be important to you or particular to you that you're gonna have to make the decision about. But I can already tell you now, you need to go into it with a beginner's mind and also just a minimalist mindset. So if you know you want to move out the country, make some short-term sacrifices for the long-term game is what I'm trying to say. Before I moved, I stopped all my subscriptions that were substantially charging my account every month. And I started to pocket the extra money, start grocery shopping more, stop going out to eat or doing delivery so much. I don't know, but also, you probably not doing shit anyway because it's a pandemic. That's what I'm trying to say. So why not create a plan for your next move and your finances that will benefit you whenever you immerse yourself in that new experience? Does that make sense? There's so many things I can sit here and talk about what to do as far as money goes, money this, but I honestly did not do that. I knew that I had a certain amount of money saved. I knew that I had a certain amount of money coming in because I wasn't doing anything anyway. I knew that I was going to be able to create opportunities and find opportunities for freelancing and remote work that were gonna keep that income coming in for me. So that's just really what I did and what I'm doing. And it's not easy. You do have to put in more effort and more hustle as far as if you know you might not want to keep that job and take it to a new country or take it to a new experience. You're going to have to figure out what's going to work uniquely for you. So with your assets also, by assets I mean bank accounts, cars, homes, electronics, whatever is important to you, I would say, and also documents. So signing information to your bank accounts, your insurance policies, life insurance, health insurance, anything that is also related to paperwork. And what I'm trying to say is you need to have somebody be your power of attorney. You need to find a trusted friend or family member to be able to make decisions for you that are stateside if something goes wrong. So for example, if you move to another country and you get locked out of your bank account, I don't know, or if you need to have another credit card sent to you, or if something financially happens as far as an emergency, you may need someone have access to all of your information, all your bank accounts, all of your stock accounts, whatever type of information you have, you need to share that with another person. So what I did was I created a Google document of all of the important things that would pertain to my health, my safety, or just things to know. And I sent that to a friend, and I sent that to somebody who would be able to log into my bank account, transfer this, transfer that. So have that plan too. So understand that you will be moving to another country, and there are already adjustments to be made with your mindset, but there's definitely adjustments to be made as far as, will you need cash? Will you be using your credit card or your debit card everywhere? So there are things that can happen as far as if you out one night and I don't know, your bank decides to freeze your card, or if you're trying to get cash from ATM and it won't work. I don't know. You need to also think about your daily life, what you do in your daily life, and who can have access to this information that will be able to forward you the information if you needed it. So that's the finances slash assets portion is to basically save, yes, and prepare, but don't overthink saving, or don't spend too much time not feeling like you're not prepared saving. Have a point of contact that you're willing to share everything with, as far as giving them logins and access to your documents and policies, and leave that in a safe place for them. But most importantly, it should probably all just be digital.